G'day guys, this is Tyr, and welcome back to another Fallout 76 guide. This one's going to be short, sweet, and straight to the point. In this video I'll be teaching all of you how to jump while in V.A.T.S mode. Let's get into it. So firstly, this is a very easy thing to accomplish. It's as simple as rebinding the in-game jump function to a different button. So for PC players, your jump button is spacebar by default, and for console players, your jump button is the Y button for the Xbox players, or triangle for the PlayStation players. And I'm willing to bet that a large majority of you probably never realized that you could rebind your in-game functions to different buttons, let alone knowing that jumping in V.A.T.S was possible in the first place. Because by default, in this game, if you enter into V.A.T.S mode, you will not be able to jump. Plain and simple. But we can change this by checking the game's controller button mapping section in the settings tab. You'll see that this is because the button to execute a V.A.T.S critical while in V.A.T.S is also the same button as jumping. That being Y, triangle, or spacebar, like I said before. Basically, this prevents you from being able to jump whilst in V.A.T.S, since the button for executing a critical hit is taking precedence over the button for jumping while in this mode. And no, before anyone asks, sadly we cannot change the button to execute a V.A.T.S critical. That function for that button is not currently in the game at the moment, so that cannot be changed. So unfortunately, to achieve this, we will have to make do by changing the button for jumping. But like I said, this is easily circumvented. All we have to do is find our way to the button mapping portion of the settings menu by firstly, obviously, going into settings, then we will go to controls, and then this will bring up the key binding menu where we can bind different in-game functions to different buttons. And once we are here, we will simply just locate the keybind for the jump action. We will follow the prompts on screen to change this from the default jump button, which should be Y, triangle, or space, and we will want to change this to the right bumper if you're on a controller, or just change it to any button you feel comfortable with making your new jump button. Now I do apologise to the PC players following this guide. I don't play the game often enough on that platform to know of a good replacement button for jumping, and honestly there probably isn't one that feels comfortable since spacebar is kind of the staple jump button for all PC games. So yeah, unfortunately, PC players, you will just have to find a good replacement button that suits you specifically. But luckily for controller players, I've done a lot of experimenting and have found that turning Fallout 76 into a bumper jumper has given me a slew of benefits, and is really comfortable and easy to get used to. Now the first benefit obviously being that I can now jump while in V.A.T.S and still execute V.A.T.S critical hits at the same time, since that button can't be changed. But now since I use the bumper to jump instead of Y, I am able to jump and look around at the same exact time without having to take my thumb off of the right analog stick. Now also additionally, something that is kind of massive, you can also use your jetpack whilst in V.A.T.S if you do this. As you can see right on screen, and probably throughout this video I'll have some clips up, but you can actually jetpack while in V.A.T.S mode, and it kind of does a little give and take bit where you can actually fire in V.A.T.S and use the jetpack at the same time. If your AP regeneration is high enough, you can just sort of float along in the sky whilst you're actually auto-aiming people in the head with V.A.T.S. It's kind of amazing. You really should test it out if you haven't already. Now upon getting used to this, this will allow you to be more accurate with your shots, especially while jumping, and you'll be more fluid in your movements within the game. Now in changing the jump button from Y or triangle to the right bumper, this does overwrite the right bumper's original purpose and switches that function to the Y button, that being gun bashing and throwing grenades, which aren't functions of this game that are very commonly used. So personally, I'm okay with having the Y button be my new prompt for executing gun bashes or throwing grenades, as I feel doing this only brings benefits with zero negatives. Like I said, having jump be right bumper, or I guess that's R1 for the PlayStation users, is very comfortable and easy to get used to, and honestly, it's amazing. But anyways, now the main reason you'll want to actually do this, and the main reason I'm making a video for this, is because alongside just generally making your movements more fluid, being able to actually jump whilst in V.A.T.S is such a brilliant quality of life thing to open yourself up to. You'll be able to jump up onto higher ground whilst in V.A.T.S and shooting enemies. You'll be able to jump and dodge attacks from enemies like the Scorchbeast Queen and Earl Williams whilst attacking them at the same time. Just Trust me and at least give it a good 5 minutes of messing around with, and I promise if you aren't sold on doing this for yourself yet, you will be after having a good test run for yourself with it. And like I said, you don't have to map the jump button to your right bumper specifically. That's just what I recommend as the best option since we don't have many buttons to play around with as controller users. Now like I said near the start of this video, unfortunately this may be a little awkward for the PC users that use keyboards. Unfortunately, if you want to be able to jump whilst in V.A.T.S, you'll have to switch the button away from the spacebar, which is just totally awkward, and honestly I can't think of a good replacement. Maybe shift or control, I'm not really sure. If you play on PC with a keyboard and you have done this yourself and have found a comfortable keybind replacement for jump, be sure to comment it for others that may be struggling. Okay, that's going to be it for this one guys. A massive shout out to all my current channel members and Patreons. Thank you all so much for your continued support on the channel. A friendly reminder to follow my social medias in the description below, and be sure to subscribe, and if you liked the video then be sure to do that too. I've been Tyr, and I'll catch us in the next one. Welcome to Valhalla.